Was this field of production design your aim?
No.
Not at all.
Production design is something either you can do it or you cannot do it. I have seen people, they've come today, the next day they are like, मेरी तबीयत खराब हो गई है, मैं नहीं आता. Thesis का जो अपना process जो चलता है, that you do a case study. For me, that case study today is a recce.
But you were the right people who had to be in the right place at the right time. Hello everyone. We are in this second episode of Set Design. The episode is continued because we have with us a very, very interesting and a dear student of mine. This is called as our Alumni episode. So in Copperpod and in Rubaru with Rupali, we have Harshvardhan Purohit. Harshvardhan is an architect, a graduate from 2015 batch, and he is into production design for almost 7 years now. Harsh is here to explain and talk to you about what this field gives you. And I suppose this is going to be one of my most loved episodes because it is one of my students who has began this journey of Copperpod. Hi Harsh. I'm so glad to see you here. A tight hug to you from me. You are my student and you won't imagine how thrilled I was when you said कि हाँ मैम मैं आ जाऊँगा, आप just बोलो. My God. Thank you very much for being here, Harsh. So this is Harshvardhan Purohit, which I was telling you about. My student who has graduated is an architect and almost in this industry of production design and set design for 7 years? 8 years. 8 years. We are going to have a lovely talk with you, Harsh. So please feel free, open up. And जो आपको बोलना है, because there are young students who are going to listen to you, and I'm sure you can show them a wonderful way ahead. Now, Harsh, 2015, right? 2015 से आपने graduation किया, and उसके बाद was this field of production design your aim?
No.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Tell us something about how you began.
Well, frankly, I would tell you, I mean, this was not a field that I even knew of.
Exactly.
I mean, it was not, because, I mean, we didn't have that exposure, I think, back then. And nobody told us, okay, this is, and probably it was not even a very good parallel field also in our country.
Right.
So not many people would incline towards it. And then you have it, it's the film industry. So it is scary to get into that. So, but I somehow just by fluke, a friend of mine, she came up and she was like, Harsh, you should do something more creative.
Oh.
I mean, architecture is it's like a whole field, a world of creativeness and creativity and everything.
Right.
But here it is quick creativity, I think.
Yeah. Instant.
It is instant. I mean, if I have to set up a huge space, it's a 4-day job, 5-day job. Okay, we take months as well, but I am a little spontaneous kind of a guy.
Yes.
I've always been as a child as well.
Yes.
So
changes you need.
I need changes, exactly. So that ways it somehow worked for me, and somebody introduced me to it. I spoke to one of the production designers.
Okay.
And
did you begin? Was this your first job? No.
I had done internships.
Yeah.
The professional practice internship. That's about it. But immediately after my college, after my results were out, this was my first job. Yes.
So you were feeling that what you were doing as an intern or as a fresher, was that not very satisfying, or somewhere you felt lost? How was it that you thought of looking at a parallel field?
I don't really understand the office culture, basically. I mean, if at all, it has to be that I mean, not that I'm saying that my field does not require punctuality. This field is like if you go to an office, if you have to sit somewhere and you have to work, initially when you are working over there and you don't get to do so much. You will be stuck to details. You will be stuck to, I don't want to be an AutoCAD person.
So you joined this, and what was your initial experience? So what we want to know, Harsh, is what What do you do as a set designer? What do you do as a production designer?
It started with it started with ad films. And ad films, because I've studied architecture, I was initially only given to do plans, elevations, 1 point perspectives. We majorly worked on 1 point perspectives because you
lovely.
need to see the whole set completely. And when I had joined 3D designing and everything was still not, people were not very much into it. Like
Right.
everything had just started. Like when I had joined the industry, the transition was coming in. Like people had started looking at Pinterest references now. People had started doing, okay, we want more realism. We want more better things to look at and everything. So but initially when I did it, I was only doing paperwork. No, I would say I'll give you an AutoCAD elevation. They're like, nahi, do it by hand. We don't understand. We want bigger elevations. We want it so much, like, so that I can like put it nicely and I can show it. 1 point perspectives to sketch a 40 feet by 40 feet set on a 1 point with all details in it. And production design demands a lot of depth and a lot of foreground, background. Everything comes into it.
Right. It's almost like the real pictures
Exactly. So that is what we had to show in it very clearly. So somehow that is what I did. I think for about the initial 6 months, I only did this, except for one ad film, which was Jabong. There was a online website called Jabong. Alia Bhatt used to be the ambassador for it. And we had done an ad film for that. It was 4 rooms with ceilings and like flooring, ceiling and 4 rooms interconnected by doors. And there were no props. There was no setup as such. You have to decorate also. It was just those. And I had to create 36 different color palettes for those 4 rooms. So that was one thing which I did other than just AutoCAD drawings and the elevations and that stuff. But those 36 palettes, I think, was my 8th ad film as soon as I had joined. And my production designer was not on set. She came for the shoot, obviously. But I dealt with the director of photography and the director. And that's the only one thing. 36 color palettes. I did not know that 36 colors existed until that day.
Right.
And
जब बिल्डिंग मटेरियल के सब्जेक्ट में बोला जाता था जाओ साइट सर्वे करो तब जो भी ब्रोशर मिलता था लेके आते थे but when we had to really apply
absolutely. I don't remember during college if I had the whole color palette booklet. I mean, this is something that we should have had even in college. Like, okay, there is so much that you can. Okay, there are students who would go and do it extra, but me as a student, I was not. I didn't really know that I was very inclined towards architecture. I thought fashion is going to be my thing. It was there. It was always there in me. But no, that's not the case anymore. I am clear.
Do you think architecture B.Arch course has helped you in this field that you're working in right
Absolutely, ma'am. B.Arch courses have helped me in this field in life. It makes me understand things so much better. If I have to put up a hospital setup also, I mean, obviously it is not architecture ka dimensions. It will not, like, if an operation theatre room has to be a certain way, it has to be a certain way.
Exactly.
It will be. But here, we make it a little more bigger. It is almost double the size because there has to be a camera. There has to be light coming in there. And people standing, so many people standing. It's usually a C set, like C walls, but depends. An operation theatre a real operation theatre would not have a window. But when it comes to a film, to just break the wall, like, but or to kya laga? You can't put frames on the wall, no, in an operation theatre. So to break that, there are windows, which is funny. But yeah, I mean, it serves the purpose in some ways. You can throw in some light, you can play with that. So that ways, it has been really nice.
Of course. You have been working here in Mumbai, or have you been roaming places?
I have been roaming places. I think I have been and roaming places, and I have lived in different cities for months, for 3 months, 4 months. I've lived in Amritsar. I have lived in Lucknow. I have gone to Goa. My first film was Goa. That was my first ever trip also to Goa.
Okay.
3 months for Dear Zindagi. We shot with Shah Rukh Khan. That was the first film.
Wow. And what was your work over there?
I was the assistant production designer. assistant art director. Sorry, I was the assistant art director on it. So that I see. First of all, when you come from an architectural background, people tend to believe that you would know construction better, and then you're a boy. So people are more into कि नहीं इसको तो construction नहीं आएगा, ये construction better कर पाएगा. Not that I cannot. I mean, but it's not that I will never. I don't do it. I do it when I have to.
Exactly. The fact is, Harsh, I suppose you know how to research it, you know how to understand it, you know how to, because though we have not done maybe in our sheet with that deep, but we know the process. So if there is anything new that comes up, you know where you have to go, what you have to do.
The thesis का जो अपना process जो चलता है, that you do a case study. For me, that case study today is a recce. I will go recce that place. Like usually, like when you talk about set design, that comes into when you're designing a set also, right? Like it's in a studio, you're putting up a whole set. But most of the times that's not the case. We have actual locations which we have to maybe add a wall, maybe add a door to some place, add some columns just to make it more realistic, to design it as per. I've shot in bungalows and I've shown that as it is the 32nd floor of a building. Yeah, like I mean, so that those kind of things happen.
You have to even know the camera angles and everything, right?
Absolutely. It has to be. I remember one of my shoots. It was for Flipkart. So there was a thing going on in the in 2017 or something. They had started this campaign with kids playing like adults, and you know, there was
एक profession में आए
exactly, teacher, doctor, all of this was there. So now the set also, when it's a teacher, if it's a child, and he's playing a man, so the blackboard is proportionate as per, like it should not look कि बच्चा है तो बच्चे के लिए इतना बड़ा blackboard नहीं हो सकता. It has to be a little smaller. So that ways we had designed a small office, a small DVD, like those shady DVD bars, and a classroom. So I remember one. I was working with. I was just an assistant production designer on it, and I was working with TP Abid. He's a production designer. He's worked quite a lot, and he's brilliant. So I kept looking at him. I was sitting at the frame. We're done with the setup and everything. It's shooted. I kept looking at him running around, and there was this in the DVD parlor. There was this small wire that was hanging. He again and again, when there was a nail, he kept on, going and coiling it again and again. So I was like, oh, I mean, it's just a wire. I mean, it's not. I mean, and it was just 2 years of me working. तभी भी इतना नहीं आपको. You don't understand detailing so soon. So he kept on. I think he did it almost 4 to 5 times. मैंने कहा इतना क्या जरूरी है उसको बार-बार coil करना, उसका ad थोड़ी है. तो I went and I asked him. I'm like, sir, why are you like? Why you tell? First of all, I'm like, you tell me to do it. I'll go and do it. You don't run. So he's like, well, you should also look at this. Look at the frame. So when I looked at the frame, it looked like the child was sitting here, who was the salesman at the DVD parlor. The wire was hanging at the back of him, and it looked like there's a shindy coming out of his head.
Oh,
it looked weird. It really did look weird. So it is not just, it's not just कि हाँ set बना दिया खत्म का. You have to see everything, that frame. Even if I'm clicking a picture, when we are clicking a picture, we see, the lines are aligned. There's one small thing coming in the middle. It looks stupid. So there also it looked much better, like I understood it then.
Yes.
That wire does not look correct. So that's where I started falling in love with details and everything also.
True. Otherwise, details was something.
It was not there.
Exactly. And it happens, as we were speaking earlier, that how the 5 years of architecture has disciplined us into, looking at these small details and nitty-gritties of everything in your day-to-day life, And this is where, when you are in a group of students or people and you observe it, but they don't realize it, is where we realize that, yes, we have learned something.
But architecture always taught us. I think you only told this to us always. Be observant.
Yeah.
Even when you're watching a film, please observe.
Yeah.
And it started obviously. Today when I'm watching a film also, I'm always observing kaun sa carpet hai, kaun sa cushion cover hai. So back then we would look at buildings. We would look. because architecture, we were not so inclined towards interior design much. I mean, we were taught, but it was still not like the main focus of initially, like it was not. So wo nahi, but buildings and everything, yeah, oh, look at that elevation. Oh, look at this bungalow at the back. So that was there.
Yes.
And even when you're outside on the roads, I mean, I can actually point out things in your room right now, what all I've seen here.
Perfect.
So that observingness has, being a very great observer has just developed, and that has led me to like better details, better things that I can. अगर आप मुझे आज कहोगे कि एक चिकनकारी की दुकान लगानी है आपको, तो मुझे पता है कि चिकनकारी वाला वहाँ पे कैसे बैठेगा, क्या करेगा उसके साथ में. Because Lucknow, when I was in Lucknow, when I was shooting, I had been to so many shops. I've taken so many videos. I actually did like a line of embroidery also with them on it. So learning all these things.
Yes.
You understand that so practically, and then obviously we have so much in terms of internet that we can learn and we can research to beyond levels.
So when it was told to you in your architectural design project कि case study करना है, तब पता नहीं इतना intensely किया होगा.
नहीं, कभी नहीं. अब समझ में आता है कि वो जो exercise की थी उस time पे वो सही है.
Right. Wow, that's too good. When we look at architecture and architects' work, तो हम क्या देखते हैं कि there are many agencies which are working. You as a designer have to manage all of them. See to it that your final product or final design that you have in mind comes up the same way. So I suppose it is similar to what you are doing in production design. So if you can just give few examples of your site, I think it will be good.
So production design is like how we have the principal architect.
Right.
There will be a production designer. So when there is a production designer, he has his associates again. It's not here when it comes to making a I'll compare it with an interior design project.
Perfect.
And a film project. When I have to deal with one person, like a residential project, if it is, it's a client. I have to deal with. इससे बात हुआ, इसने बताया, इनका ये requirement है, then we come up with designs and we figure it out.
Right.
Here, it is not just that. So here there is going to be the director. There's going to be a producer's input. There is going to be the costume person's input, not their input as such, but you have to, correlate with their colors.
Perfect.
So for that, we have associates who will look into, basically, they will manage the whole team. Like I was working on a film which did not get through. We were a team of 35 people. It was like as good as a small architecture firm. A design team, a decoration team, a research team. There is a production designer, an art director, production designer, art director. There are associates for both of them. Then there is a set decorator. So a set decorator is going to look into the decoration of the set. कि ये मैंने set खड़ा कर दिया है, अब इसको decorate कैसे करेंगे?
Okay.
So like how we have interior stylists who would style a house, we would look into the furnishings, we look into what kind of showpieces or props or what kind of furniture, what kind of curtains or everything. That kind of thing, a set decorator will look into. Then set dressers. Those set dressers, they will help you source out those things. We have prop shops where you can rent out a lot of furniture from small showpieces and everything. So there are a lot of production designers who like to look at each and everything. There are a lot of directors who want to look at each and everything. But the production designer is the person who will principal architect who's going to take the final call. I remember for one of I was doing a web series and for the widest, I would not look at that vase that was kept on top of that shelf. The whole shelf did not have a single grey item in it.
Okay.
Except for that vase. And that vase popped. That grey popped so bad. I did not realize the shot was taken. I had sent pictures there was a group on which we would put all the continuity pictures.
Okay.
This is the frame that we have set up right now and everything because the production designer may be not on set, so I would have shared it with her. She pointed out.
Okay.
She's like, why is that grey vase there?
Oh.
that should not have been there. I mean, it really, things like a red would pop. So that palette, when you think of, so that would be the role of a on-set dresser. A person who's on set. He will handle he or she will handle the shoot, look into the frames every now and then. And then we have our setting team, the main boys, who help us handle the shoot. It is not just set bana diya, khatam kam. Interior में यही होता है मैम. आपने घर बना दिया, अब आप रहो, आप manage करो, आप उसको figure out करो. Here, when you are shooting, even if you have to move a table, you need your person to move a table. And it is because there's so many people around you. There are so many lights and everything.
Yes.
So a lot of things have to be taken into pictures. So because, so that is there, that a person has to manage. I think I have worked with 400 people under me on a set. We were doing a replica of a restaurant of Umaid Bhavan, Jodhpur. A rooftop terrace restaurant. So that was where there were domes and arches and a lot of details and everything, lights. There were too many lights and everything. So for that, there were about 400 people. And because the time limit was not, you did not have like 10 days to make it. There were 3 days, I think, what we had. So that's where it managed. 3 days, and we've done that.
So it's day and night work.
Yeah, day and night work. So a lot of management is definitely needed. And that comes with, it has to be in you.
Exactly.
I say production design is something, either you can do it or you cannot do it. आपको है ना पहले ही मालूम पड़ जाएगा. आप जैसे ही आप इसके अंदर आ रहे हो, मैम कितने लोग आते हैं? There are so many interns who want to join and everything. I get calls also. I tell them this thing. I'm like, guys, come, try it out. And more than half of them, they don't come from the next time. I have seen people, they've come today, the next day they're like, मेरी तबीयत खराब हो गई है, मैं नहीं आता. So because it's not an easy, I'm not saying any job is easy, but this is definitely not an easy job because you have to deal with so many people, and it is a very small time frame that you have to deal with so many people. You don't have a lot of time. It is आप अभी कर रहे हो, आपको ये अगर परसों खत्म करना है तो करना
ही है.
ठीक है.
एक्सटेंशन नहीं
मिलेगा यहाँ पे एक्सटेंशन. वो पॉसिबल ही नहीं है because it is not just me who has to, like, you know.
And there's so much of money that is
exactly the amount of money that they have invested is
every hour would count, every minute would count, and it's like start building up. Of course, and that is what happens when you're doing a project, when you are working on actual sites and going ahead. Where fantastic. Harsh, I think you have given a very, very clearer and broader picture of what production design is. The fact is, not all, as you rightly said, not all would want to or would be able to pursue this course, because for the last 13 years that I have been into academics, I know only 2 students who are into production design. One is from your batch of my previous college, and one is from my recent batch. Mehak is the one who is, she did one production design for Archie's, Betty's house and all that. Yeah.
Nice.
So, but I feel that you were the right people who had to be in the right place at the right time.
Absolutely. That
and I suppose now for in the 5 years before, as you rightly said, that we were not aware of. Now we are. And now when I see students like you who are moving out, so there are these introductory courses that we do in the college. And so the students are aware. So you were just, finding your way that, no, this is not the office job that I wanted to do. So what else I can do? And as you gave me an example of you loving colors and the papers when you were doing your maybe basic design or whatever, the subjects do tell or speak a lot about yourself. So, that whether I like this subject and I don't like. And the most important part is that subject will lead you to a career. That those 2 subjects can give you a very different career which you are in now. So it's fantastic. How are you looking at pursuing this field? So when you're putting in so much of effort, does it tire you in the sense of stress? Or is it a job that you love and you can keep on going? What do you think?
Well, as I said, either you can do it or you cannot do it. So when you want to do it, you will give it all to make it happen. There have been times when stress has been. I always tell this to people who work with me. Like I'm like, take good stress. You should
Yes.
take stress.
Yes. But
Don't मेरे को मैं stress नहीं लेता हूँ. मैं कर
ऐसे हो नहीं पाएगा.
नहीं हो पाएगा. आपको you and I think there are many people. I mean, who work. There are many who don't, but there are many who can work better under pressure. And if you give that little push and like try to if you're giving your 100%, I think sincerity is what is.
Yes.
If you don't know the job, it's still fine.
Exactly.
If you're sincere, no, I think there's no job that you
And the love for that
love for
job
that job.
which you are doing.
Absolutely.
So when you told me कि वो 9 to 5 was becoming too much for me, यहाँ पे day and night काम करना आपको कोई problem नहीं. In
Like
fact,
36 hours is like every now and then thing. It's not about working for those many hours. It's about hours कितना भी होगा, but आप मजे से कर रहे हो. आपको if your mind is occupied all the time, like continuous, like I am this. I'll speak about for myself only. I need my brain to be active all the time, and if my brain is active, I can go on for hours. But if you ask me to just sit idly and do nothing about it, that I think would be thanks to architecture, ma'am. The amount of submissions that we've had to do, the amount of nights that we've had to pull for
I mean that is
coming up
one.
with the submissions.
Yeah.
I mean it really. I mean आज नहीं लगता है कि ठीक है यार उस time पे ऐसा लगता है क्या कर रहे हैं, क्यों जग रहे हैं.
क्यों
But
इतना
that all-
परेशान करना
But that all ragadna has really led us to it, where I think even people from my batch, the other people that I know, they all are somewhere or the other. They're still figuring it out. Everybody is either figuring it out or they have reached somewhere where we've learned. It was always and still learning. Learned and still learning. I think there's no film that I have done where I have made a same set again. I must have done living rooms again. I think I must have put oddly 500 living rooms until now. For kitchen setups, hospitals, bedrooms, khandars. I have made a robotic. We've designed a robotics factory.
Really?
Yes, for Monica, my darling, we did a robotics. The whole factory. It was an empty studio.
Yeah.
We came up with everything, and I mean, where am I going to? Where as an architect, if I had to do something, I will only as an architect. If I have to get into something, there are people who specialize in either residential or they specialize in commercials or they
Exactly.
specialize in industrial design or something. Here, it's you jitna dikhe utna bana do.
Bilkul. And this is what you wanted. See? Because as you said, not all are made for this field is because you needed those changes. If you were
I could not. मुझे बोलोगे ना ये करते. So now I'm become choosy about the work that I want to do.
Of course.
There was a time when every work had to be done. But now I choose to not do the same setups again. If you're telling me it's a film and it has 10 living rooms, I'm like, yes, please. Let's not do that. You tell me something which is more interesting.
Great.
Which is, we were actually designing a film. I can't talk much about it. But it was a very research-oriented film. As I said, there were a team of 35 people that we were working on. I felt I can understand aesthetics better. I can research better. I can visualize better. I can imagine so much well. And this all has helped because of the learnings, obviously, and the practical knowledge that we've gained in these many years. And experiences has always been one of those parts where मतलब मुझे आप बोलो, I can change your house in minimum amount. Yeah, that's one.
I remember you sending me a photograph of an interior that you did. I think for somebody from your, it was some 2000.
No.
You had a tree type kuch.
Yes, it was for a director, the DOP called Lakshman Uttekar. He had done his office. He was doing a Marathi film.
Okay.
So he wanted it was a rented space and in an old building, and all we had done was we got all second-hand furnitures from Jogeshwari Market, repainted it, gave it these stress finishes, and gave some shelves, colored the whole space, added artwork. And I'm telling you, it's all about, I believe, the people look into interior design as अच्छा, it has to be this proper, it has to be this, ये इतना इस जगह को कितना ज़्यादा use कर सकते किस I believe in a space if you don't have too much furniture also, but if you have knickknacks around your house,
Yes.
and if you have that way of getting your space a little lived in, I think it works. It
What-
makes your space so much more livelier. It makes your space more. If you're going to a home, if you're going to your own home, I think you need to get into a space where you feel belong. Can be minimalistic, can be cluttered. Like I love good clutter. I love good clutter rather. Like, but it has to be well kept. Yeah, like there is no table in my house which is empty. People come to my house and I'm like, भाई तेरे घर में 10 टेबल है पर बैग रखने की जगह कहाँ है? बैग कहाँ रखे मैंने? Because there are props on everything, there are books on everything, then maybe a small plant. So it is all there. It's very minute things that change your daily lives.
True. Wow. It's so wonderful to see you talking like this. I remember you sitting there and asking for extensions and discussions or not sorting out the design on the paper. And today you are here making me feel so proud of what you are doing. I wish you all the best, Harsh. I think the way you people are moving ahead only adds feathers to my cap. And I'm so glad when I have to tell you, and this is because when your names are written and you revert to me, I'm sure all those faculties who were with you for your grooming must be equally proud of what you're doing. You have sorted out your way through your passion, through the field that you loved, and you took a decision of a way which was very strong. At your age, not being a very good above, or a student in the first 5 rankers, always struggling with architecture, and with all this, you knew what you had to do, and I'm glad architecture has made you what you are today, and it will take you to huge heights. All the best to you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for
Thank
being
you so
here.
much.